And welcome to another new episode of the Dolphin Pod. We are just about 2 hours away from the start of opening weekend at the Tank as the CSI Women's Basketball Conference Challenge tips off tonight. The Dolphins open the Conference Challenge, which is, of course, presented by our good friends at TLC Physical Therapy and Jimmy Mac's Italian Restaurant and Pizzeria. Dolphins open tonight against the Ravens of Franklin Pierce University. My name is Joe Foreman. I am the host of the Dolphin Pod, joined on today's show by my CSI Sportsnet colleague, Nick Bivona. Nick, plenty to look forward to this weekend here at the Tank on opening weekend. What are you looking forward to most?
Well, other than the Jimmy Mac's that you just mentioned, I could go for some pizza right now.
Absolutely right.
Very good season last year from the Dolphins on both sides, the men's and the ladies. You know, the ladies went into the playoffs last season, unfortunately lost by 3 points in that playoff game against the Firebirds. But there's a lot to look forward to this year, Joe. You know, a lot of key players from their season last year returning this upcoming year. Of course, the biggest one, Jenny Alarcon, going into her senior season. And we know how she's been so instrumental to this team the past couple of seasons. Let's see what she does this upcoming year. And obviously, one of the big notes is, with Ashley Lambert now gone from the team, who steps up now for the Dolphins in terms of production, whether it comes to their playmaking ability and just scoring as well?
A lot of very interesting changes for the women's basketball roster following the conclusion of the season last year. As you mentioned, Nick, the Dolphins faced UDC in the playoffs for the second season in a row. The Dolphins had a double-digit second-half lead. That got away in the final quarter. They then graduated several key players who are no longer with the team this year. Ashley Lambert, as you mentioned, one of them. However, we will see Cashley this weekend. She is an assistant coach for the men's basketball team, so she will still be on the sidelines, this time with the men's basketball team as an assistant. However, I mentioned a lot of changes for women's basketball this year, and that really begins with the transfers they have brought on. Amber Abusbey from Moore Catholic High School, a Staten Island product. She comes in now, entering her fifth season of collegiate basketball. She will join the Dolphins, hoping to make a big impact, just 10 points away from 1,000 for her career.
Yeah, we've already seen a lot of 1,000-point career scores in terms of the Dolphins in the last couple of years. We saw on the men's side, Messiah Mallory reach that mark, as well as Bryce Waterman. So bringing in a prolific scorer definitely will help the Dolphins, and they obviously will need that with, you know, Lambert being gone. They lost Lizzie LaFaro as well last season, so they really could use that scoring as well. Something to note also, Joe, is, you know, you mentioned the roster. About 10 players on the roster for the Dolphins this season, 7 returners. You mentioned the transfers as well. 3 of them is coming into the Dolphins team. So that will be maybe a little bit of a challenge to start the season. We've seen that in the NBA where some teams run that small roster and they run about 8 to 9 players per game. Maybe that's what the Dolphins do this season, but it's going to be coming down to durability for this team. If they're going to make the playoffs once again, if they're going to be durable enough to get back into the postseason and potentially get back to where they were 2 years ago with a playoff win.
Very interesting dynamic for the Dolphins this year. No freshmen on the team this season. The 3 transfers and 7 returners. Let's talk about some of those returners. You already mentioned Jenelise Alarcon and what she means to this team. Another key returner on this Dolphins team, Dana Phelan, upped her 3-point shooting to nearly 37% last year. The Dolphins will need her to be consistent from the outside once again this year.
Yeah, we saw a big production in numbers from Phelan last year. You mentioned the 3-point mark as well as her scoring, you know, really upped her numbers. And something that I talked about to her one of her games is she's getting a lot more shots up. You know, in her freshman campaign, she didn't really shoot as much as she had hoped for. Last year, she did that very, very well. And with Lambert now gone, LaFaro now gone, 2 of your better 3-point shooters from last season, you're going to need her to up that production as well. But someone also to maybe look out for, Joe, this year that came off the bench last season, Madison Haggett, we saw a lot as well. Coming off the bench, shot a lot of 3-point opportunities. Probably expect her to get a lot more uppage in production as well from the 3-point arc.
Before we talk a bit more about some of the Dolphins' reserves, our CSI Sportsnet colleague Nick Durst did get the opportunity to speak with women's basketball ahead of the start of their season a bit earlier in the week. So what we're going to do is turn it over to Nick's conversation. First, Nick is joined by Jenelise Alarcon.
Jenelise, senior year already. Can you believe it?
No, I feel like it's crazy. I feel like everyone tells you the years are going to go by really fast, and then now I'm here, and I'm like, oh my gosh, where'd the time go?
All right. So talk to us about your journey to getting here. How did you get recruited, and what made you choose the college style?
Well, I sophomore year for high school kind of tore my ACL and my meniscus, so I was out for a travel season. Then the following season was COVID, so I got really unlucky there. But then I got to play during the fall for my senior year and Kelsey and Sark came in and like, we're like, we really like you. And funny enough, I was getting looked at by Newport, who coached Sarcone. So that was really interesting. And he was like, no, she's great down there. And I was like, all right, you know what? Maybe I'll go down there. And it was great. I mean, being here, they're super welcoming, and they were like, it was a lot of fun coming down here. And it's not that far from home. It's a quick 2.5 hours. So, and I have family down here, so it was kind of like a no-brainer. Plus the dorms. The dorms were a really big seller for me. I mean, I like to cook and bake. Nice. I know. So I got to bake cookies for everybody, so it's nice.
All right.
It's a good opportunity.
So what would you say is your favorite part about attending the College of Science?
There's so many. I would say maybe like athletics department as a whole, we're really close, and like we talk to every team on campus.
Tight-knit community.
Definitely. So we go out, support games, we do whatever, and it feels nice. It's like a home away from home, and I think that's something that's really big for a college experience.
All right. So this season, the team, a lot of upperclassmen, a lot of returning players, a lot of players who are graduate students, and even the new players, a lot of them are upperclassmen. They're transferring for graduate season. So what are you expecting for this season on the court from the team as a whole?
A lot of experience playing. I think something that we might have lacked, especially my freshman and sophomore year, like that kind of depth of like knowledge and like taste for the game and stuff like that. I feel like that's something we have a lot of, and I feel like bringing in Amber as a point guard and Lex as a post, like those are two positions that really need a seasoned, patient player, and I think they both have that. So I think it's going to be really good for us so that we can control the pace of the game and whatnot, especially with Coach wanting to do what she wants, and I think it'll help us a lot being able to do that.
Let's talk about something that I know you hate talking about, and that's yourself. So this season, you have a great chance to get 1,000 career points, and this is with you not really shooting many three-pointers. So it's very difficult to see these days. 1,000 career point scorer not shooting the three.
Yeah.
What would that mean for you to hit that 1,000 career point mark?
It would mean a lot. I mean, that was something I was able to get in high school, but only because my mother really pushed for them to calculate the points. So, I mean, I would have never known when I hit it. So it would be kind of nice to have like a regular one, because when I hit it, it was like COVID, and like I only had like 2 people there, but like it would be really fun to like hit it at the tank, and I love CSI, so to be able to like hit it here.
Hopefully you can hit it here, not on the road.
No, that'd be.
I'm checking out of the game, Coach. I gotta do it at home.
Yeah, so no, it'd be great to hit it here and to be home with everybody else, and I think it would be such a good thing for us. So
absolutely,
a good confidence booster. So yeah.
So before the game, is there any particular song you're listening to get in the zone before you go out there and you're full assassin mode on the court?
No, not really. I mean, I'm kind of like a mood-based person, so it depends. It varies from game to game, but like it could go from like Black Eyed Peas to like something like Paramore. So like definitely something more like upbeat. I don't really listen to like like I know people do love country before a game, but that's just not really my style.
I don't know how that gets you in the zone.
I don't know either, but I know people who do, like Ozzy LaFaro. I mean, that's her freaking go-to.
Dana was just saying
exactly.
She loves country.
Yes.
How's that received in the locker room? Not very well.
No, we don't do much of country, and I mean, I like country, but it has its place. But I do more definitely upbeat.
Well, you're the senior now, so you're going to be the one making the posts for the pregame.
Yeah, I know. I could put that, but I'll let them do whatever. I'm not really particular, so whatever they feel like.
Sounds good. Well, we're looking forward to seeing you on the court this season. So tell us about your pregame ritual and postgame ritual as far as what you're eating.
I like to eat something light before a game, especially like when we have those weekend early games, something like maybe say like a bagel, maybe even a protein shake, get some protein in there, and like be well hydrated throughout the day just to make sure that we're ready to go for game day and that there's nothing holding me back and prohibiting me from playing. And then post game, as much food as possible, because freaking from starve, like it's so hard to like eat a heavy before a game, especially like I know some people who could freaking have a whole meal before a game. I'm just not one of those people. So I keep it really light before game days. Even the 5:30 games, I try to keep it light. So after the game, I'm freaking starving, ready to eat whatever I can. So I like to like cook either the day before so I can have like leftovers the next day and have like a good, nice hot meal. So for those 5:30 games midweek, how do you concentrate in class? Like I'm sure you're just thinking about, okay, I gotta make sure I'm ready to go box out tonight. Like how do you keep your mind straight for a weekday game? I try to listen to what the professor's talking, take notes, try to stay focused. Jennalise is a great student. Yes, I try to be, but So yeah, I try to take notes, stay focused in class. But as soon as I'm out of class, I'm like sitting in my room, like I'm ready to go, like let's go. And then I'll get here a little earlier and whatnot. And it's kind of easier because I'll have like a 12:20 class. I'll come back and just have a little bit of time to myself before the game gets going. And plus, we get in here an hour before we have to even be on the court, so that gives me a lot of time to be able to get ready into game mode.
So before you talked about the camaraderie between the other teams and your team, so a while back I saw you in here with Messiah Mallory. You guys were working on your post game together.
Yeah.
So what is that camaraderie like between the men's and women's basketball team?
It's really close. I mean, we travel a lot together. We spend a lot of time together. We support each other at the games. I mean, they were here for the first half of our scrimmage. We came out for theirs. Like, we're really close, and I feel like that comes with going up to Buffalo for 8 hours. That you just kind of develop that closeness. And plus, we're here in January with nothing else to do, with nobody else besides them. And if anybody knows what we're going through, it's definitely them. So like the games that we go through, like we have yet to start game, but we've been in preseason since like September. Like that's something that they get to experience, and it's really like parallel journeys for the both of us, so it makes it easy to kind of like relate to them. And they're good people. They're all good people, so it's nice. It's easy to be friendly with them and nice. So
awesome. Well, Jen Elise, thank you for your time and best luck this season.
Thank you.
And thank you, Nick, as Nick got a chance to talk with Jen Elise on behalf of all of us here at CSI Sportsnet before the season earlier in the week. However, he also got the chance to speak with another Dolphins starter. Nick is joined by Dana Phelan.
Dana, last year we had one post-game interview, and you loved it so much you were begging to do a preseason interview with me here today. So this is the season now. You're upperclassmen now, a lot of returning players. Talk about the chemistry and the camaraderie you and the girls have built over the last few years.
I think that we're all really close, and it definitely shows that on the court, like being so close off the court and then coming to the court. Yeah, we just work like really well together.
Okay, so you one of the best three-point shooters on the team. Are you the best? Who are the best three-point shooters on the team?
We have me, Maddie.
Maddie's good, yeah.
Lex.
Okay, new player.
A new player, yes.
So who are some new players we should keep an eye on this season that are going to make an impact?
All of them.
All of them, okay.
Yes.
Okay, very good. So the team, you're building stuff, your freshman year, great playoff run, you won the game. Last year, it didn't really finish the way you wanted it. What are you expecting this season on the court for the team?
A chip.
Okay.
Yep.
That'll be great. Personal goals for you this season on the court. What are you hoping to do? You hoping to score more points? You hoping to get more assists? What are you looking to do?
Definitely get more shots, like three-pointers, up my field goal and three-point percentage, and get to the basket more.
All right, very nice. So you've been here a few years now. So talk to us about your journey. How did you end up at the College of Staten? How was the recruitment process? How did you end up choosing this school?
I chose this school because, like, once I came and visited, it just, like, felt like a whole family, like, atmosphere, and I loved it.
Great. And what is your favorite part about the College of Staten?
My team.
The team. Teammates.
Coaches.
It's great.
Everyone here.
Great camaraderie in this building right here where athletics go down. Talk to us about before a game, you're getting ready, you're getting in the zone. Is there any particular song or music you listen to that gets you ready to go for the game?
Not really. I listen to country music before the game. Yeah.
And how is the country music received with the rest of your teammates?
They don't like it.
I figured as much.
Yeah.
All right. So interested now to know about your pregame meal and postgame meal. I know pregame, we always see you walking around this building with your Dunkin' Donuts. What's your Dunkin' Donuts order? And are you also eating anything? And also let us know postgame, what are you chowing down
on? Before games, I have a bacon, egg, and cheese from Dunkin', a coffee, and sometimes a strawberry refresher, and hash browns. And then after the games, I usually go out to dinner with my family. So I usually get chicken parm.
Oh.
And yeah.
Very nice.
Yes.
All right. Last thing, who has the best shoes on the team?
Shoes.
Best sneaker. You always rock the pink,
Yeah, I love
very
pink.
Vibrant.
I'm going to say Kyra.
Okay, Kyra's got some good style for sure.
Yes.
All right, Dana, this is over. You can go take a deep breath now. I know you're very, very nervous to do this, but congratulations on a great 3 years so far, now into your third year, and best luck this season.
Thank you.
Thank you once again, Nick. And Nick Bivona, my partner here on this episode of the Dolphin Pod, you were beginning to talk about some of the key players for the Dolphins off the bench. You started with Madison Haggett, another shooter that the Dolphins will be looking for to be consistent from the outside. That is the key for this team. They struggled to find consistency from three-point range throughout the season last year. A lot of their points coming around the basket, in the paint, and in spurts. This team can get very hot, and they can get very cold. Consistency from the outside will certainly be key. One player who was very consistent around the rim last year was CSI Athletics Breakout Player of the Year, Kyra Rose.
Yeah, Kyra Rose really upped her production as well from last season, and you saw a lot of that from the Dolphins. We mentioned Phelan earlier on. Now, Kyra Rose is going to be that, the next big player under the basket after Jannalise Alarcon. We saw a lot of plays last season where she had a couple double-doubles. I think one game was near a triple-double. I think it was one assist off from that triple-double mark. But really, someone the Dolphins are going to look forward to bringing back this season. Probably looked forward to her if Alarcon maybe gets doubled up inside the paint. Look for her to maybe try to bring up the ball, maybe get a little bit of a floater inside that paint and get some points for CSI this season. It's really come down to that next man mentality for this team. Who's going to be the next man to step up in that spot if someone is not able to get some scoring going throughout their games? Unfortunately, sometimes you would see those spurts for the Dolphins last season where they were, had a double-digit lead, as you mentioned, in the playoff game, and unfortunately were not able to close out that game. If they can avoid that this season, then they won't have that problem. They just need a lot more consistent scoring throughout the entire year.
And let's talk just a bit more about the CSI bench. One other bench player that played in a lot of games for the Dolphins and has been with this program for 3 seasons now is Noemia Masinghe. Masinghe does give the Dolphins some size off the bench. CSI was lacking in that department last season. That is an area they addressed this year coming into the season. But Masinghe, a player that can be relied upon around the rim for rebounding, and she is able to intimidate shots around the basket as well. That is key for this Dolphins team that doesn't get many chances to get Jannalise Alarcon a breather out there.
Yeah, and I think, the beauty of having someone like Masinghe is you could insert her into the lineup sometimes. We saw a lot of times where she was in the starting 5. Sometimes she would come off the bench, and that's really big to have some of those players like that are able to adjust to whether you're playing in the starting 5 or just coming off the bench, being that 6th man, that 7th man off the bench, and being that key role player for you throughout the entire season. So bringing back Masinghe definitely helps, especially with her size inside the paint with Rose and Alarcon as well. So having those 3 are huge, and then, as we mentioned already, having the outside scoring is also going to help them along the entire season.
No question, the outside scoring will need to be there for the Dolphins this year. We've seen what they can do in the paint in flashes, but Jannalise Alarcon, of course, I think it's fair to say an impossible cover one-on-one around the basket. Noemia Masinghe also has a knack for making some of those very difficult shots around the rim. Sometimes could end up a bit out of control. Other times she ends up on the highlight reel.
Yeah.
Here, today, she ends up with our colleague Nick Durst. Nick is joined by Noemia Masinghe. We'll turn it over to him.
First things first, Noemia, how's that knee feeling? You had the brace on for a while. 100% for the season?
Definitely. I'm hoping to start the season 100%. I've been playing with the brace for a long time, as you know. Mm-hmm. But I've been playing now without the brace since the season started, so that's good.
All right, so senior year. Let's rewind the clock here. How did you end up in Staten Island, New York, playing basketball for the College of Staten Island?
Well, I'm from Mozambique, as you all know, and I came to the U.S. in 2016. I went to the master's school in Dobbs Ferry, New York, and I was playing in D.C., and that's where Coach found me. Mm-hmm. And from there is history. Here I am.
That's it. Here you are. So you've made quite an impact, especially defensively and rebounding, and you have some great teammates as well. So this season, what are you expecting here for the team, success-wise on the court?
I expect big things for the team, as I expected last year, and we couldn't finish last year the way that we wanted, but this year we're coming with new expectations, and we're showing it on the court in practice, in the game scrimmages that we had, and I feel like this year is going to be a really big year for us in many different ways. Also, we have a lot of seniors who want to bring a different impact because this is the last dance for them, so that part.
A lot of veterans on this team, including yourself, so good things could happen. For you, what are you hoping here personally to do on the court this season?
I'm hoping to keep the impact that I had in the past, being big on defense, big on rebounding. Those are the things that many people don't want to do, and they're big things for a team. It's important to have somebody who's going to be there for take charges and like be there on the offensive rebounds and stuff like that. So I'll definitely keep doing that this year and hoping to put more points on the basket to help with the time that I have on court.
Great. So before a game, you're getting in the zone. What's that song you're listening to get you in the right mental state to take the court?
It's not a song. It's a quiet moment.
Okay.
So I pray before a game. We all pray before a game as a team. But I personally pray before a game by myself to make sure that I'm in that mental state where I understand that I'm in peace with myself and peace with God. That's what it's important.
Very nice. Very nice. And last thing, curious to know, what's your pregame meal and what's your postgame meal?
Post-game meal, I would say Chinese, fried rice, and fried chicken. That's post-game. Pre-game, depending on what time is the game. If it's in the morning, I would say bacon, egg, and cheese. Ooh. If it's like a 5 p.m. game, I would say I would eat like some rice and chicken too. I'm a big chicken fan, so yeah.
Very nice. And what's your favorite thing about the college style?
The people. Definitely.
Great people.
Yes, I feel like if it wasn't for the great people on my team, the coaches, I don't know if I would have had a great time as a college student and student athlete. So definitely the people.
All right, Naomi, thank you for your time and best luck this season.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Nick. But, Nick, he's not done yet. He has one more big conversation. Nick Durst, a busy man. On behalf of all of us here at Sportsnet, he wraps up his conversations with women's basketball, joined by Dolphins head coach Nicole Sarcone.
Nick Durst here with women's basketball head coach Nicole Sarcone. Coach, another season, building some momentum here with the program. A lot of returning players. What does that mean for you and your team?
I think we have a pretty dangerous roster this year. A lot of returners with a lot of major minutes under their belt. A lot of returners that we're looking to for a lot of production, and newbies that are also veterans. So it's nice to have a lot of major minute players under our belts.
A lot of depth players for sure. So talk to us about the process of recruiting players. You have a lot of transfers who are upperclassmen coming in, a lot of freshmen coming in as well the last 2 years. So what is that process like when you're going to recruit to bring people into the program?
Yeah, I mean, we're really just out there, watching at AAU tournaments, watching at high school games, and based on performance on the floor, work ethic and talent, that's kind of how we start the process, and then just bringing in good people into our program. We have tremendous people, tremendous families, tremendous individuals. That's number one. The skill set's there with them, and then obviously this year we actually have no freshmen. We have 3 transfers, not purposeful, but really good incoming group to mesh with our returners, so we're excited.
This season, obviously, we know some of the big names to keep an eye out for that have been here for many years. Jenelise, Noemia, Miss Rose, of course, Dana. So give us some players who we should be keeping an eye on this season that we may not have heard of before.
Sure. I mean, we are returning Maddie and Dorothy also, and I think Maddie, has a tremendous ceiling to her game, and she's knocking down shots more this year. So I think she's gonna show you guys something this year. Dorothy too she's someone who is a workhorse. Every single day, the energy, the level is there, and then our newcomers bring a lot of experience. Alexa came from St. Anselm, and she's just great. She's another one who all the small things every day is consistent. Amber, true point guard, quintessential point guard, so she'll be quarterbacking out there for us. And Mia, also a point guard who can also play off the ball, high IQ, great playmaker. So I think all of them that we have, and Oyen, we have 10 people that can come in and produce, and so that's what we're excited about.
Yeah, depth is going to be, of course, very important for the long season. Last thing, let's talk about Jenelise real quick. Great chance to hit 1,000 points this season. What has she meant for you and in the program?
Are you going to make me say nice things?
She's 3-pointer more. That's how you could say something better.
No, I mean, Jen's our motor. She's on both ends of the floor. She does a tremendous job. She draws tough assignments on the defensive end, and she draws all the attention on the offensive end, and she's so unselfish. We actually have to beg her to shoot the ball, but she's our motor on both ends of the floor. We have to ask her to be a little bit more selfish, a little bit more vocal, but hopefully she hits that mark this year, but I just hope she has a tremendous senior year to finish out her career here.
Absolutely. Nicole, thank you for your time and best luck this season.
Thanks, Nick.
High hopes for the women's basketball team this year as they look to make a run even deeper into the East Coast Conference playoffs. Of course, 2 years ago, they had a lead in the semifinal round, just one game away from the ECC championship. The Dolphins were picked to finish 5th in the conference during the preseason coaches poll. And this weekend here at the Tank, we get a look at CSI's playoff opponent each of the last 2 years as well. UDC a part of this year's conference challenge, along with tonight's CSI opponent, Franklin Pierce University, and tomorrow's opponent, Holy Family University. So Nick and I are going to step aside very quickly. When we come back, we are going to talk CSI men's basketball. Tournament of Heroes follows the conference challenge for the first time in the history of the men's basketball program. We'll be right back with more on men's basketball. And welcome back to the Dolphin Pod. Joe Foreman rejoining you alongside Nick Bivona. And Nick, ahead of the break, we talked about the Tournament of Heroes coming up this weekend. Obviously, always a big game on the men's basketball schedule. Terrence Aiken, Scott Davidson, Tom Hannafin honored ahead of the men's basketball opener each of the last 3 years now. Of course, this is the 22nd annual Tournament of Heroes. However, each of the last 3 seasons, now 4, including this year, the Tournament of Heroes has opened up the men's basketball schedule in early November. So plenty for us to look forward to here at the Tank this weekend. But, of course, this episode of the Dolphin Pod will be airing early next week. So let's talk a bit about the men's basketball program and the outlook for the season. Big accolade from Messiah Mallory entering the year. He is the East Coast Conference preseason player of the year. The coaches expecting him to make a big mark this year and leave a big impact on the conference, voting him the preseason player of the year. The Dolphins also voted to finish 3rd in the preseason coaches poll.
Yeah, and we saw last season, Joe, this team was the second best team in the ECC in the standings at the end of the season. Really good marks throughout the entire year, and when you get a guy that's preseason favorite to win the player of the year, that definitely will help your team throughout the year. So getting Mallory back is going to be huge. Obviously, a senior this season, so he would like to end his Dolphins career on a high note going into the year. Obviously, would also like to go further into the playoffs last season. Unfortunate playoff loss to Damon. But as we've talked about so many times, when you face a team 3 times in one season, it's really not easy to beat them 3 times. The Dolphins were able to sweep the season series from Damon, but unfortunately we're not able to get the 3rd time around. But I think if you look at this team coming around from this season, you're bringing back a lot of key players, as Mallory will mention a couple other players as well. And that's going to be big for TJ Tibbs and company if they want to get back to the postseason this year.
Mallory, a dynamic two-way player for this Dolphins team, gives the team plenty at the offensive end with over 1,000 points for his career. He is also the program's all-time leader in blocks with 180 rejections for his career. However, he has a conversation with our colleague Nick Durst coming up, and we'll throw it over to Nick as he is joined by Messiah Mallory.
Can you believe it's senior year already?
No, can't at all. It's pretty sad, actually.
They went quick, right? So talk to us, rewind the clock a little. How did you end up coming here to this school? What did you know about the college style or style in general before you ended up becoming a Dolphin?
I didn't really know anything about CSI or Staten Island in general before I got here, but I was recruited in high school and from AAU by Tibbs and the rest of the coaching staff, and they made a great impression, and I just felt like it would be the best fit for me.
Absolutely. So, expectations-wise for the team this season, I'm going to assume it hasn't changed from last year, what you told me, but you told me last year's championship. Is that what we're thinking still this year?
I think that even more this year.
Okay. Beyond, into the NCAA tournament,
yes.
Right? Okay.
I want to win a regional championship this year.
Big things ahead, so we'll look forward to that for sure. Let's talk about something I know you love talking about. That's yourself. So last year, 1,000 career points. Did that in just 3 seasons or less than 3 seasons by the time the season ended. What did that mean to you?
Not really a lot. I just, I don't really care about the personal accolades.
Okay.
I more so care about the team stuff.
What means more to you? Getting that 1,000 career points or being the all-time leader in blocks in CSI history?
Probably the all-time leader.
Blocks.
I think that's cool.
Right, all-time for sure. All right, so this season, it's here, right? It's starting right now this week. What has it been like getting to know the new teammates and integrating them with a huge roster of players that returned from last season?
It's been seamless. They did a great job. I like each and every single one of them. They're all great kids. They all bring something different to the team. They're all going to help a lot. It's a good.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so curious to know here, Messiah, what is your pregame meal and what is your postgame meal?
Pre-game meal, I like to eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And post-game, I don't really have a specific post-game meal. Whatever's available, really.
All right, sounds good. Messiah, thank you for your time. Best luck this season. I'm sure we'll speak soon.
All right, thank you, Nick. And obviously, Nick Bivona, Messiah Mallory, headlines the returners for the men's basketball program. He is a player that is a 3-year member of the program and has had such a lasting impact on this program in its Division II history. I think it's fair to say he's been the most impactful player of the D2 era. However, 2 more players who hope to leave a lasting impact, much like Mallory coming into this season, are Aaron Goldstein and J.J. Chestnut. We'll start with J.J., who is now entering his 3rd year with the Dolphins. In year 1, he was asked to play very big minutes.
Yep.
In year 2, the minutes were dialed back a bit. I think that had to be the case, given how much he played as a freshman. That being said, his production remained consistent. The numbers barely dropped, despite playing only about 2/3 of the minutes.
And the thing that's the beauty of it also, Joe, is we saw the Dolphins bench last season really take a big up in production when it came to minutes and scoring, and we'll talk about some of the Dolphins bench in a little bit as well. But Goldstein's been J.J. Chestnut's been a very consistent player for the Dolphins since we've seen him in his freshman season. Really big playmaker for the Dolphins in terms of passing the ball around, kind of like the quarterback of the team in terms of, we sometimes hear TJ Tibbs with those play calls, whether it's Taylor Swift
or Joe Foreman.
Yeah, I mean,
right.
he has to be the one that knows initially off the bat when TJ calls that play out what exactly they're going to be running on the court. And JJ is the one that's going to, keep that going for his teammates and make sure that they know exactly where they need to be at that exact moment in time. So having someone like that is huge for the Dolphins. And considering the fact that you mentioned his minutes did go down last season and the production was still there, that's really big for the Dolphins. And they're looking forward to having him back once again, trying to keep this Dolphins team in the playoff race.
A scorer, a facilitator, a rebounder, a defender, and a great interview.
Yep.
JJ always delivers. He is joining Nick Durst of CSI Sportsnet.
Nick Durst here with J.J. Chestnut from the men's basketball team. And J.J., can you believe that your 3rd season as a Dolphin already?
No, it honestly feels unreal. I feel like I just got here still.
All right, quick time, moving really quickly around here. Great decision of your part. So talk to us about the process of you landing here, because you were playing basketball elsewhere, then you weren't playing basketball at all. How did you end up being recruited here to CSI?
So I'm going to make a super long story super short. I went to school in Ohio. I didn't like it that much. I wasn't playing basketball anymore, and my former teammate, Messiah Mallory, called me on the phone, and he said, "JJ, you're not playing basketball anymore?" And I told him no, and he put in a word with Coach Tibbs, and now I'm here. It's honestly probably the best decision I ever made.
All right, so this season, like I said, your 3rd season, what are some personal goals for you on the court this season? Because you really do whatever they ask of you. Your first year, you just score a lot and play heavy point guard. You did that. Last year, your assist numbers went up. You played great defense. So what are some personal goals for yourself this season?
One, you said I played great defense, but I fouled too much.
Okay.
So I want to stop fouling that much. I definitely want to shoot more threes. I have the ability to shoot threes. I just haven't been shooting them. And I just want to be more of a vocal leader. I feel like I can really lead the guys vocally.
All right, upperclassmen now for sure. So team-wise, what are you thinking the expectations are for this season?
Championship.
There you go.
Championship, nothing less. That's it. That's what we're here for.
So, end of last season, you had to end up playing with one eye. Yeah. So, what was that process like, and what was it like this season? Get to the preseason here, you do some scrimmages, practices, being able to see with both eyes again.
Yeah, that was definitely a hard game. I've never wore a headband, and I've definitely never played a game with one eye covered. So, it was tough. But one thing about me, regardless, I'm not going to make any excuse. I'm still going to go out and play as hard as I can. So, it's been great to be able to see out of both eyes now. I can definitely make more of an impact.
Who on the team is making the pregame playlist for this season, and will your music be included in?
AG is about to make the playlist, and
okay.
Probably not. Probably not.
All right. maybe not appropriate music for the
Right. I'd have to make a clean version.
Maybe a Christmas album.
Okay.
Christmas album. There you go.
Chestnuts roasting on an open
There you have it. All right, so JJ, every game is different. You know, some games they start it's early day games, it's night games. What is your pregame meal and what is your postgame meal?
Pre-game meal, it depends. I probably don't eat the same thing every time. Depending on the time of day, it's definitely a bowl of cereal or like side set of PB&J sandwich. But if I can, I'll try to eat like some pasta, some chicken Alfredo after the game. I same thing. I don't eat that many things. I'm not too picky. So.
All right, well, I'll see you around. If you want to check out JJ pregame, maybe go over to the dining hall and cafeteria to see what he's ordering. JJ, best luck this season. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Nick, and thank you, JJ, for another great conversation. And, Nick, we mentioned that JJ's minutes were dialed back a bit last year, logged big minutes in year one. I believe it was over 33 per game as a freshman. A big reason why they were able to dial back his minutes is the next man we're going to talk about, last year's Dolphins freshman sensation, Aaron Goldstein, a 4-time Conference Rookie of the Week who made a big impact in year one.
Yeah, and I think with him, we saw a lot of good things also. You know, we talked about Chestnut's playmaking ability. Goldstein had the exact same thing as well. Really giving the Dolphins that big 1-2 combo at the guard position, at the top of the key that will, decipher what the players are going to be, exactly where people need to be. And for Goldstein as well, his three-point shooting really took a big mark last season. One of our favorite calls from last year was that insane shot he had to get stacked.
I was going to bring that up.
Where, he had the torque of the shot, Joe, basically. I could not believe he made that shot. Going into that game, had pretty much a raspy voice, and I pretty much blew out any vocal cords I had left after that shot went through.
At the same time, both of us exclaimed, Goldstein.
So having him back is also really big for the Dolphins this season, going into his sophomore year. And I think with that happening, he's a lot more mentored in. He's learned the style and system that TJ Tibbs and company have taught him this first season, now going into year two. So having him back, and they'll need a lot of production more from him as well. Bryce Waterman, as we know, is no longer with the program after he graduated. So they need a big-time three-point scorer for this team because we know how big Bryce was in terms of three-point production last year. Expect Goldstein to be one of those players they look forward to try to get some three-point production and maybe even some of their key bench pieces as well.
That call you and I referenced, one of our favorites of the year for both of us. Our colleague Nick Durst from CSI Sportsnet has his own Aaron Goldstein call. He likes to say that shot was as good as gold.
Yeah.
Aaron joins Nick of CSI Sportsnet for us here on the Dolphin Pod.
Nick Durst here with Aaron Goldstein from the men's basketball team. Aaron, what an incredible rookie season. How proud were you of your accomplishments on the court?
I was super proud, but I was super proud of the team overall.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a historic season in the Division II level. I've grown up on this island, and I've watched this team play for many years. I've been fans of players, and then to be able to play on the court now and a part of CSI men's basketball, it's truly a blessing, and I don't take it for granted. Accomplishments, I work hard for those, so just a given, and it comes. But I'm truly blessed to be a part of a great team.
Absolutely. So 3 years ago, your teammate, Messiah Mallory, makes an impact as a freshman starter. 2 years ago, JJ Chestnut, same thing. Last year, you. Which new player are we looking at for this season to keep an eye on that's going to make an impact from the first game of the starting rotation, perhaps?
I would definitely say Joey. He's had a huge role so far, and definitely is going to be a big impact. Crashes, shoot three, high motor, very active on the ball. And I'm definitely looking to see how well he fits in with this team, helps us out to ultimately get to reach where we want to be at the end of the season. So happy for him, and can't wait to see what he does.
So obviously you're the point guard, right? A lot of times you're feeding the ball inside to Messiah Mallory. He's getting double or triple teamed. How much do your eyes light up when he kicks it back out to you beyond the arc? Nobody's there, and your shot, three-point shot, is as good as gold. You usually get those open shots multiple times a game.
Nobody's in my face. I expect to go in 10 out of 10 times. I'm obviously not perfect. I'll miss a couple, but my eyes definitely light up. The basket looks as big as the ocean, and I'm ready to knock down that three.
Let's talk about your fans, your family. They show up hard, better than anybody else. on the island, not just for you, for your sister as well. They're here. There's a huge support system each game. Does that make you a little more nervous? Does it give you some more energy when they're all sitting there courtside?
I would say it gives me definitely a lot more energy. Family is everything to me.
Yeah.
That's why I wear the number 21 actually, because there's 21 of us. So it's huge to me. Family support is everything. It definitely gives me extra motivation, and I can't wait to see them back in the crowd again for the season.
All right, JJ, he said you're making the pull list for this season, so we got
me and my roommate Blake.
What can we expect? Which artists?
Majority of everything, I would say. We got definitely a lot of Gunna, because I know Blake loves Gunna. I would say I'm a big Travis Scott fan, so I can't wait to see what me and Blake put together. So it'll be a good pregame vibes.
Absolutely. Okay, so Aaron, before a game, you're getting set, you're getting ready. What's your pregame meal, and then after the game, what's your postgame meal?
A pregame meal, I wake up in the morning, make myself eggs and some toast, so get my stomach going, and then I would say I have a little bar before the game. I don't really like to eat too much, but I make sure I definitely stay hydrated, so I'm drinking a lot of water the night before and the day of in the morning. So pregame meal, some eggs, some toast, and then a nice little bar before the game. Come get stretched out, and then after I'd say whatever is available, chicken, pizza, pasta, whatever.
Get the carbs.
So definitely that.
All right, well, Aaron, best of luck this season. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, Nick. And Nick Durst got a chance to speak to three Dolphins who were very much in the starting lineup for much of last season. Not every game, but most games. JJ, Aaron, and Messiah Mallory did get into the starting lineup. You already mentioned Bryce Waterman among the graduates, Jordan McAllister, another player that the Dolphins graduated last year. A player that we thought would be departing the program and has returned is Justin Zeres. The Dolphins do have a very deep bench, and last year that was on full display. Let's talk about some of their bench options.
I think the guy you have to start off with, in my opinion, Joe, is Shamar Laddie. We saw how big he played. Early on in the season, didn't really get a lot of shots off when he came off the bench, but I forget what game it was, and you'd have to correct me if I'm wrong, but he came off the bench, I think had around 15 to 20 points in that game off the bench, and that's really where his season kind of sparked, and he really became that quote-unquote sixth man for the Dolphins coming off the bench, and that really led to, getting Chestnut off, if he got into foul trouble, they could take him off the court, bring in Laddie, and he could be that guy that could be the playmaker / three-point shooter for the Dolphins throughout the entire year. So Laddie is definitely the first guy that you have to talk about when it comes down to their bench, because he's going to be one of those guys that we mentioned with Waterman leaving. He'll be one of those guys that the Dolphins will look forward to trying to get some three-point shots upcoming for the season.
I think something that's very interesting when you look at last year's Dolphins bench is that you're going to see a lot of the players who didn't play huge minutes last year play a much bigger role this year. I think another player that comes to mind in that regard is going to be Blake Wilson. Yep. I think there's a very good chance we see him get a major uptick in minutes. He has great size, could even crack the starting lineup depending on how TJ Tibbs looks to orient his lineup. He's somebody that we didn't see too much last year covering the Dolphins here at home. He's a name to watch this year. Redshirt freshman Mitchell Wiggin, another player to watch this year. Obviously, we didn't cover him here at the Tank last year. That's another player to watch. And though he is going to start the season injured, at least it appears so, Chris Clancy, undoubtedly the sixth man for the Dolphins last year. Great outside shooting and great defense.
Yeah, someone that I'm very familiar with from my time at St. Peter's. A really big prolific scorer outside the arc for the Dolphins throughout the entire season last year. And when he comes back fully healthy, will be a big contributor to the Dolphins team this season, and a guy that, as we mentioned, will be someone that they were going to be very reliable on, try to get some three-point shots on throughout the entire season, and hopefully get them some wins.
That men's basketball team was just so fun to watch last year. 3-and-D. They knocked down three-pointers at a very high rate, and their defense was suffocating at times. There were games where the opposition simply could not score.
There were some times where they would do the half-court trap, and they could not get past half-court. That was something that TJ Tibbs has really, tried to emphasize the Dolphins, making sure that there's no easy buckets, everything. If you're going to give up a bucket, at least go up with it and try to make a good defensive play. And even if there's a foul call, at least get, a hand on each and every shot. And someone that you could bring up for that, mark in terms of defense is Michael Oyakami. I mean, Obviously loses his brother from the past season, but he'll definitely look to bring another impact for the upcoming season as well, and he's a really good defender that the Dolphins are looking forward to bringing back.
And I'm glad you mentioned him. Another player who went down early last season, did not play for about 2/3 of the season, and we know what he can do. We saw his athleticism on full display more than once.
Yeah.
When he and his brother Adelaide were out there together, it was tough to grab a board or get a shot up around the rim. There was a series where I think they both had a rejection in the midst of just a couple of shot attempts. So they were very fun to watch as a duo. Adelaide, of course, among the graduates as well last year. He is not back. So with that, we will wrap up our segment for men's basketball with one final conversation. Nick Durst, joined by men's basketball head coach TJ Tibbs.
Here with Coach Tibbs for the men's basketball team. Coach, another season underway. Last year, a lot of success as far as D2, the best season in school history. I know you weren't satisfied with how things ended, so what can we expect this season on the court?
Yeah, last year was a great season, but it was last year. We're on to this year, and we want to build on some of the progress that we made last year as a program. With the returners that we have, we're having 10 returners. But like I said, last year was last year. It has nothing to do with this year. We're a brand new team, even though we're to return a lot of people, and the goal remains the same. We want to be a championship team. We want to be one of the best teams in the region, and it starts with this weekend and trying to do what we need to do.
A lot of returners, like you mentioned, and a lot of returners who played some major minutes as well. So what does that mean for you, having your program here, building with the last few years, to have such continuity moving throughout the seasons?
Well, in this era of college basketball, it means that we have a lot of, I guess loyalty is the word, or just that we have something here that is making people want to stay. So I think that's the biggest thing. I don't know if anybody has 10 guys returning. And guys, I mean players, men's or women's basketball, it's just unheard of. And I'm very fortunate to have that. The guys really love each other. They do. They love the program. That means a lot to me, especially being somebody who played in this program. So it makes some things easier, but also, it just heightens our expectations that we have internally because we don't pay attention to expectations that go on outside of these doors.
So in the last 3 seasons, you've had a freshman who has made an immediate impact and one of the best players in the ECC. How do you continue to recruit? What's that process like? And how do you keep getting such high-impact players who are ready to play big college basketball at the age of 18?
Yeah, well, I think it's a mixture of our assistant coaches do a really good job. Kurt Menezzi, Khalil Shorter, Oren McKay Jr., and we added Ashley Lambert this year. Do a great job of just building a relationship with these kids, these young men and their parents and their loved ones. And I was just saying to somebody today, it feels like they're already in our program before they come here, how much that we speak to them. So, and then also we brought quality character young men in that take advantage of the opportunity that's in front of them. So, we're fortunate. We have another good group of freshmen and with one transfer, and we're excited about the impact that they can make on the program.
Absolutely. So let's talk about something that I know you hate talking about. That's yourself. So last year you win the ECC Coach of the Year. How did that feel?
So I like to refer to it as a coaching staff of the year. I think a lot of people, we should get all the blame as head coaches, but the credit is definitely shared. And like I said, last year we also had Shabari Noyes, who moved on to another program. Very happy for him. But we don't have that success, and we can't get recognized without obviously the players doing what they did and our assistant coaches being what we are here. They are the reason why we have success. So it's nice, but I tell everybody, awards don't really tell you how good you are. It's nice to be recognized by other coaches in the league to see what you're doing, but at the same time, I think all the coaches feel like they're the best coach in the league, and as they should. So that's what makes competition so great, and excited to challenge ourselves again.
So you, like me, fellow Mets fans, the Mets had OMG this year with Jose Iglesias. What can we expect from the Dolphins with JTO?
I don't know. JTO, man's got to drop a Dolphin track. I mean, I don't think I have enough pull with him. I've already been talking to him. I think me and him are going to get in the studio and work on a collab or something. So we got to figure that one out. But, I listen to some of his music. I give him critiques about it. But hopefully you'll follow that. JTO on Spotify, Apple Music, all that. JJ Chestnut, who you're referring to.
All right, and last question here, because I know you go back and watch every game your team plays in. So, unbiased opinion here, which team in the ECC has the best broadcasting team?
Unbiased. That means I have to at least pretend that I'm thinking at all. With all respect, some don't have any broadcasters at all, so that's just tough to go through. But with a totally unbiased opinion, I'm going to have to go with CSI Sportsnet, the team, whether it's yourself, obviously Joe Foreman, whoever else jumps on. The production, we had something new all the time. At halftime, it's just I think there's nobody better. And I'm gonna go outside the ECC. I watch all the stuff in the region, and I'm gonna go again. I think we have nobody better. So it's great. You talk about recruiting, bringing in freshmen.
Really great.
They read it. They watch this stuff online, so it makes my job easier when they can just go on and see a high quality broadcast. So we're appreciative.
Absolutely, Coach. Thank you for your time. Best luck this season.
Thanks for having us. Go Fins.
And we have one final conversation to wrap up this episode of the Dolphin Pod. During this past weekend's Tournament of Heroes, I got the chance to catch up with CSI men's basketball alum Bryce Waterman. Here's a look at our conversation from halftime during men's basketball's season opener against Southern Connecticut State University. And we are back from the tank, and it is halftime here on night one of the 2024 CSI men's basketball Tournament of Heroes. But Tournament of Heroes season always means that a lot of familiar faces are in the house. Student athletes, alumni, family, friends. And we have a very notable men's basketball alum joining us. He joined the 1,000 Point Club last year. Bryce Waterman joins me here on CSI Sportsnet. Bryce, welcome to the broadcast.
How are you doing, Mr. Foreman? How's everything?
I'm doing great with Mr. Waterman. The call splash doesn't quite hit the same without you on the roster.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's great to be back. Great to see the guys. Great first half. You know, a little. Always started out a little slow here. I feel like the last 3 years I've been here for Tournament of Heroes, a little bit of jitters, but you know they get back into it. Coach Tip's gonna have them all ready for the second half, and I think we'll pull this one out.
How difficult is it? First time back in the gym, first game since you've left the program, watching rather than being out there.
It's definitely a little weird. I didn't know how I was gonna feel, how weird it was gonna be, if I was just gonna be used to it, but it's definitely a little weird not being out there with the guys and playing and things of that nature. So definitely going to be a little adjustment, but it's great to see everybody. They look great. We're a lot of key notable guys that didn't play as much last year that are playing this year, so it's great to see everybody's development so far.
How did CSI prepare you for life beyond the classroom and the court?
So I'm actually still in graduate school. I have 2 classes this semester and then 1 next semester.
So you're out of eligibility.
Out of eligibility, not out of school yet. So almost done with school. But, you know, right now just working a little part-time job at Dick's and then have some things that I have pretty much looking forward to after I graduate, looking at in that direction for work.
So now I have an inside man at Dick's Sporting Goods.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 25%.
Our camera operator, Pat Gilorenzo, is a former employee of Dick's Sporting Goods from when they first opened back in the day. So let's talk a bit about this men's basketball program, your outlook for this year. Obviously, your team in the conference semifinal last year. You have to think now that this team is eyeing championship contention this year. Number 3 in the preseason poll. What are your thoughts on what this team can expect to achieve this year?
I think the expectation is what it was last year, which is definitely a championship. Long season, you know, a lot of going to be some growing pains. Everyone has to get used to playing with each other, but I think they can definitely accomplish that goal.
Now I have to ask about something that you and I discussed off headset a bit earlier.
Okay.
You're no longer on the team. I don't know if they use the play anymore, so perhaps you can't divulge the play. But when I was at the conference championship last year, they called the play Joe Foreman. You got open. You know I'm in the stands right behind you. What's going through your head as that shot goes up?
I mean, like every other shot, I'm trying to make that one, but especially since you were there and the play was for you. But you know, sadly, I didn't make that one. But it was definitely a great design by Coach Tibbs. It's probably in his trick book somewhere. You might see that at some point again this season.
So a great effort by the Dolphins late in that first half, began to work their way back. But looking at last year's team, 3-point shooting and defense was really what I saw as the identity of the team last year. That stifling defense often led to transition baskets. The team has changed quite a bit since last year. A lot of new faces. What are your first takeaways on what this team's identity could be the rest of the way this year?
I think they definitely can do the same thing with the defense and their athleticism, that they're way longer than we were last year, and I think they're way more athletic than we were. I think they can cause havoc defensively, get out and run in transition. They still have a bunch of shooters, which is definitely good, and I think they have more people that can get in the paint. So I think they could be really, really good this year. I like what I'm seeing so far. And like I said, first game, you know, a little bit of jitters. Everyone's got to get used to playing with each other again. Everyone's trying to not press per se, but, you know, it's just the first game. So I think we'll see a lot of great things from this team this year.
Now, we all know he's great, but I think this question is a lot easier to answer now that you've moved on from the program. What's it like playing for Coach Tibbs?
It's actually, for me, you know, me and Coach Tibbs go way back. He's more like a big brother to me more than anything. He coached me when I was 16 years old for the Jayhawks, which is out of Queens, my AAU team. And he's been in my life ever since. You know, I was at prep school, we talked all the time. When I was at my other colleges, we talked all the time. And he really brought my joy for the game back. After I transferred from my last school, I actually thought about I wanted to quit a little bit. But just coming here and knowing more than that if basketball wasn't going good for me, I'd be taken care of off the court because he's such a great person. It was just a no-brainer for me. But to answer your question, playing for him is a joy. He's a great coach. He's one of the best basketball minds I've ever been around, and he's one of the best people I've ever been around.
Now, I actually want to bring up a play that I remember from last year, the end of the game. I believe it was Aaron Goldstein at the line. I think it was against Stack.
Yep.
You know where I'm going. The team was trailing by 2. So rather than trail by 1, he told Aaron, airball the free throw, get the jump ball call, and we get the ball back. Is that something that was on the agenda in practice that you guys knew would be a possibility moving through the season? Because here at the commentary desk, we were baffled by the genius of it.
Yeah, so that's actually a rule that a lot of people don't know. None of us knew it before. Before we had our first game, we were going through a bunch of different scenarios, and that was a scenario that actually came up. He was like, it doesn't happen too often, but in case I ever tell you just to airball, you must do it. And AG, thank goodness that he caught on to it quick enough and didn't, just had true faith in Coach Tibbs because, like I said, one of the best basketball minds I've been around. I don't think anybody knows that rule. And I don't even think the opposing team knew that rule at that time.
I don't think they did either, based on their reaction. Me and Nick looked like a couple of fools on the broadcast. What happened? What happened?
Yep.
And somebody had to come tell us after the game. But something that I always ask student athletes and coaches when we have them on the Dolphin Pod or speak to them, why choose the College of Staten Island? What makes this place great? Obviously, your relationship with Coach Tibbs, a big part of your reason why you chose CSI. But is there anything else you'd like to highlight for prospective students?
Yeah. I think you should choose College of Staten Island. For one, I think it's a great balance between athletics and your personal life. And I just think the people here make this place, right? Like, I would come back for Coach Tibbs, but I would also come back for any of my brothers that are over there playing right now. Have a great relationship with all of them. I love them all, and I think it's really the people that make this place.
Well, Bryce, I have to say, if you were ever to decide I'd like to do some broadcasting, you're going to be a natural, I can tell you.
All right,
You're going to be great at this. You're always welcome. Thanks so much for coming on. Enjoy the second half.
Yes, sir, I appreciate it. I'll definitely be back for one of these games to call it with you.
I'll see you at the post-game meal after this game tonight if you're around.
Sounds good. I'll see you there.
All right, thank you, Bryce. We thank everyone who tuned in to this CSI Dolphins basketball season tip-off edition of the Dolphin Pod. It was a great weekend at the Tank, and we thank all of you who joined us for the Conference Challenge as women's basketball defeated Franklin Pierce on Friday and fell to Holy Family University on Sunday. A special thank you to Jimmy Mac's Italian Restaurant and Pizzeria, as well as TLC Physical Therapy for sponsoring this weekend's event. As for men's basketball, we once again honored Terrence Aiken, Scott Davidson, and Tom Hannafin with our Tournament of Heroes as the Dolphins fell on a buzzer beater against Southern Connecticut State University on Saturday and defeated Southern New Hampshire University on Sunday. We appreciate all of you who made the time to spend your weekend with us, and be sure to tune in to CSI Sportsnet for new episodes of the Dolphin Pod all season long.